Alright, gents. Earlier, Azi Ahmed deleted me, blocked me on Facebook. Unfortunately for her, we live in a day and age where Google allows me to find stuff. It took me to this little website called YouTube, never heard of it before, and it found an interview that she gave to Loose Women. So, I'm here to narrate the alliness that is Miss Ahmed. Let's fucking give it a swirl, shall we?
Please welcome Azi Ahmed. Good to see you, Azi. I think the first thing people are surprised at is like there aren't women in the SAS. So
Correct, there's not.
how did this come about? This was a
Even then, she says absolutely, like she knows there's not.
trial, a kind of experiment, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it happened back in 1999, and I wanted to join the army on a part-time basis because I wanted something to work around the full-time job that I had.
She wanted to join the army on a part-time basis because she wanted to work around the jobs that she had. Now listen to the next bit.
And one of my friends just turned around to me and said, "Why don't you join the Territorial Army?" And I had no idea that the army actually had a part-time version of it.
Can no one see the fucking contradiction there? Yeah, I want to join the army and work around my current job. So someone gave me the idea of the TA, but I had no idea that the army done part-time roles.
So I applied for an information pack, and
Applied for an information pack. I think that's probably the only thing that's true in this fucking scenario.
they had a list of all the different units that they had, and I looked for the best one, which was the SAS.
As everyone does, just look at it and go, you know, I might just join 2-3. Why the fuck not?
Elite Force.
Went straight to the top,
and I
you
thought,
thought?
well, why not? I'll apply there. So I
Why not? Because that's part of the fucking joining criteria. Why the fuck not?
applied, and they offered me an admin post, and I went for the
What Hereford did? You went for Hereford selection, and they said, you know what, you can be our fucking clerk. Basically the same.
admin post, and I just happened to be in the room where they were just starting up female selection. So all these girls
None of that makes sense. None of that makes sense.
came in, started signing up, and
And this is the first time they'd ever done that. So it
First
was
time
a
they
kind of
ever did female
trial.
So you went for Hereford selection as a woman. No one realised you're a chick, yeah? And then you just happened to coincidentally be in the same room when they was doing the first female selection as well.
yes,
period,
I didn't
yeah.
even know what SAS stood for.
And you didn't know what... I hate saying the words, the letters SAS, but you didn't know what it fucking stood for. Imagine showing up for fucking selection and someone... I'm sure if they asked you that as you was getting on the bus, they'd fuck you off if you got it wrong.
I mean, that's how naive I was.
And still are.
And I looked and I thought, well, if they're signing up for it, then maybe I should be doing the same.
How many clerks do you reckon there are in Hereford that see these fucking 6'4" paratroopers come in that have been training for the last 6 years for selection after multiple operational tours, and the clerks think, you know what, if they're doing it, I may as well bang out the hills with them.
And I walked up and I looked and they said, do you need to sign? I said, yes. So I signed, and before I knew it, I was downstairs in my sports kit.
On the day, is that what happens? You just show up in Hereford. Yeah, you're doing selection. Yeah, just jump down in your fucking PT kit. Brecon tomorrow, fucking beret selection, fucking presentation next week.
Getting a grueling in Hyde Park.
Hyde Park, grueling. Oh yeah, because it's famous for its fucking hills.
That's how it started.
None of this makes sense. Did no one do a fucking background check in any scenario whatsoever to allow this woman to release a fucking book?
And it is grueling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry,
What Hyde Park is grueling. I used to work out opposite Hyde Park, and I can't think of a single fucking incline.
Yeah.
What is the experience like being a part of, you know, such a regime?
Part of the regime. I'm glad she didn't say part of the regiment.
Well, let's put it this way, I still got flashbacks.
Flashbacks from Hyde Park. What, did you go to a fucking concert there? And get drunk and get felt up by the other people pretending to be in Hereford?
It was a grueling. It was an amazing experience. It just changed me for life. I mean,
Yes, right, you've had a delusional experience and it changed you for... I mean, I could nearly drown and it would change me for life, but I don't know what I'm getting at, but you are fucking on some sort of crack.
I mean, I went there. I used to go to the gym 3-4 times a week, and I thought I was super fit, you know, went in, I thought, oh, no problem. And suddenly I saw these girls, and they were like Amazons. And I thought, oh my God, what are these women made of? And when I was
Those women were made of men.
training, I was just lagging behind to start with. But slowly, there's something about the army training, it's just amazing. My strength just escalated, and so did my fitness.
But you
before I knew it.
completed the course, and
No, you fucking didn't. No, you fucking didn't. Don't say you did.
because I've read your book, you completed the course, and you did really well. But
Look at the eyes then. She squinted as in, don't ask me the question, don't ask me the question.
at the last minute,
Yeah.
what happened? You were just kind of dumped, really.
Yeah, well,
Oh, what is this, a fucking prom? You weren't... Hereford does not go through the fucking selection process to get fucking Uber blokes and then the day before go, you know what? We're shit-canned this year's intake
well,
for shits and
I'm
gigs.
sure they had the reasons for it.
Yeah, they had their reasons. The fact that they did not fucking exist. The fact that this is all in your fucking head, you dozy tart.
We don't know what the reasons are. Perhaps it
We don't know what the reasons are. What?
was too early for women to be in the SAS. Perhaps there were other reasons for it, but we were told two weeks before the training had ended to just hand our kit in. And there was myself and another girl who I've got great respect for because she was a champion rock climber and she was like, you know, amazing
That was
woman.
a PR disaster for the army, really, when you
No. Putting this tart on here is a PR disaster for loose women and any integrity they have for back checking fucking stories, you dozy cunt.
think of all the effort the army makes to say it's an equal opportunity.
It is an equal opportunities fucking employer when it comes to pay. When it comes to fitness standards, it needs to be fucking heavily weighted back into the men's, you know what, lower standards. You know, I can't be
Employer.
asked to get too wound up by
Women are
this
going
shit.
to rise to the top. They want
They're not going to rise to the top because they're less fit on average.
more women commanders, and you've done
Oh, that's what we need. Cunts like this in charge.
this course, and suddenly they went, right, it was an experiment and it's not worked.
Yeah, but
Okay, the fact that they'd done it and it didn't work proves the point.
I mean, I look at it as if, even though that happened, I think it was a great leap forward for the army. Even though we didn't complete the course and they did nothing with that training, the fact that the British Army had allowed this experiment to go ahead in the Special Forces is amazing. And I think that's something that's part of my story as well, just to say that this is what's happening with the army. It's not an old-fashioned establishment. It's actually trying to make changes within there, both for ethnicity and for females.
That's where we're at. Both boxes fucking ticks right there. That's why you're on this fucking programme.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's also equally amazing about your story is you came from such strict upbringing, didn't you? Muslim upbringing.
Yeah.
3 boxes, fucking bang them out. We love a tick box. We love a fucking please be a lesbian. Please be a lesbian.
How did your family, did they know you were going to do
They had
this?
no idea I was doing this.
Oh, really?
So I actually led a double life. So I'd go home on the train and I'd put my, you know, my shalwar kameez on and my headscarf and I'd serve chai and my mother was trying to find me a lovely boy to marry as well. at
Chai,
that time.
is that tea?
So-
Chai?
tea, chai, sorry.
Yeah, try to...
And every time I'd go home, my mother would have all these sparkly clothes for me. And, oh, you know, get this on. And we've got some guests coming as well. So I'd put it on and I'd serve the tea. And then I'd get back on the train, put my army boots on, and I'd be out with the lads again.
I thought you was training with women.
And you hid that whole time? The whole time you were training, they had no idea?
They had no idea. So I lived
So no one's noticed that she's leaving the house and coming back sweaty in phys kit. No one's noticed that she's going banging out the hills for 6 months. No one noticed she went diffy for weeks on end on exercise.
I literally lived these
double
two
life.
worlds, which is why my book is called Worlds Apart.
What did they say
Yeah, because one is complete fucking fiction.
afterwards?
They don't know to this day. Unfortunately, my parents passed away.
Died of shame. That's the only solution to it. The moment that you told this fucking shit dit to them, they died of shame.
But I do have regrets because my father was in the army. And I just think,
I have no reason to disbelieve that, unless it comes out of your mouth, you lying cunt.
you know, he could have been proud of me to do that. So,
Yeah.
But I think my mother would have a heart attack.
look at the fucking state of it. Honestly, in all seriousness, I have worked with some fucking uber machines. Some fit, switched on, 10-year fucking paratroopers, full screws with untold fucking experience, and they have failed selection for minor fucking things. But this cunt managed to smash it out on the day. No previous fizz. What an absolute fucking pile of dog shit. But at least she ticks a couple of boxes, eh? Fucking hell. Anyway, that's enough shit yet. I've got to go home now. Alright, gents, this is actually part 3 of my research into Miss Ahmed. There was a part 2. Many of you may have seen it, but I think it was unfair on the interviewer. I don't think that is her fault that this woman is such a fucking ridiculous lizard. So I'm just trying to find everything I can, any interview this woman's ever done, and give it a quick review. So this one's a bit longer. It's nearly 8 minutes. And with my gobbling off, it'll probably be about 10 minutes, hopefully. Try and keep it as short as possible. But yeah, here's 8 minutes of bollocks. I've only listened to the first 45 seconds of this, and it wound me up. So I couldn't listen to this entire thing twice, so this is the first time I'm hearing it as well.
Going to take up some of your suggestions. Really appreciate it. BBC Radio London, I'm Jumoke Fashla. Now, the first woman to be trained in the SAS has some advice for our new mayor. Harness the power of London's young people. Aziz Ahmed used to be in the army and has moved into politics, standing as a prospective parliamentary candidate for the Conservatives. Schooled at Central St Martin's, she's based in
I don't know if anyone's told the Tories that everything that she said is a complete lie.
London, and joins me now. Aziz, good morning.
Good morning.
And thanks so much for joining us. Your new book, this book is called Worlds Apart. I have to say, I laughed out loud at
This woman can barely speak, considering she's a fucking radio presenter.
parts. But first of all, tell us how you got trained by the SAS, because
It's just such a fucking... Everything in that statement is incorrect.
this did not happen as if you all thought, I'm determined to do it. You came from a conservative Muslim background and somehow you stumbled into this.
That's right, that's right. I mean, you could say that naivety is a bliss, but I wanted a challenge, and I think I've wanted challenges all my life. And when I came to London, I studied art, and going to St Martin's was my challenge.
I'm not going to keep repeating it, but we all know that fit, capable blokes who have gone through a fucking pre-selection process die on selection. But she was studying art and decided to smash out selection on the side.
Then I went on to run an internet company, and then after that I thought, actually, I
Which I don't know if it's a lie, because I can't find it on Company's House.
want to do something very, very different. So I
Either a lie or she weren't paying taxes.
thought, okay, I'll join the army. And it was only by passing that a friend of mine had said, they do have the reserves, which is in London.
They do have the reserves, which is in London. I didn't realise that the reserves were a London-based unit.
And bearing in mind, at the time, I was so naive, I didn't even think that they had women in the army. That's how far
Right, so...
fetched it was. So I got an information pack. I went through the list of...
Her story is different in this version than the other bits of fiction that she's come up with.
units, and of course it said SAS, the most elite force. Of course, I had no idea what it was about.
I'm sure it doesn't say in the fucking selection, SAS, the most elite force.
I went in for an admin post, and when I was there, you could call it being there at the right time or the wrong time. They were doing female selection, so suddenly I had about 3 or 4 ladies who walked into the office when I was filling out my form to be an admin, for an admin post.
Right.
And they were built like Incredible Hulks. I mean, these women were like 6'1", muscles. And this man came in and said, we're going to do female selection, and are you on the list? And I looked up and I just nodded my head and said, yes. I had no idea what it was.
Right, anyone who knows blokes that have been on selection, and I can't even justify that sentence. But yeah, she just thought, yeah, why the fuck not? Why the fuck not? That's like me being in an Apple store to buy a fucking phone, and a bloke coming up to me and going, mate, do you fancy being CEO of Apple? Why the fuck not?
Until I got into my sports kit and was run ragged again around Hyde Park.
And apparently selection is instant. So the moment that you fucking go, those women, the other women that were coming to sign, skipped medicals, skipped all normal fucking procedures, and just done selection there and then in Hyde Park.
That's how it started.
That's how it started. And I mean, of course, you completely...
Also, in her story, she was going to this fucking office to be a clerk, and all of a sudden now she's got a phys kit. So there was no even selection to be a fucking clerk. She just walked into an Army Careers office, and there was other women doing selection, and she thought, I'll have a bit of that, and jumped on selection with them and passed it.
You almost completed the course, but we didn't quite make it.
Yes, it was a shame because it started off with 200 men and 12 women.
Right.
Started off with 200 men and 12 women. New stat.
It ended up with about 30 men, and there were 2 of us that were left. And I was left with Rachel, who was a South African rock climber.
Right.
And then a week before the training
Who used to be called Richard.
ended, they turned around to both of us and said, you can't continue, you can't get the beret or the blue belt.
Now, normally blokes would call that a stand-up fail, but...
I'm not sure what the reasons were. Perhaps it was too early.
Or perhaps because it's complete fiction.
Too early for the army to have women working behind enemy lines. But I look back now, and it was one of the best things I ever did. I was honoured to have been part of that programme.
But alongside that, I mean, at the same time, you were wearing the shalwar kameez, you were wearing all, normal.
I've already covered these points, that she's doing selection while not telling her family. So she's banging out fucking endurance during the day, and then comes back and no one's noticed that she's just done a fucking 60-miler.
Oh, conservative Muslim girl, serving tea at your mother's behest to your guests, etc. that contrast, but at the same time having to think, gosh, I've got bruises and everything that they're not allowed to see.
Oh yes, I mean my book is called Worlds Apart because I was literally living in 2 worlds. My parents had
reality and fucking fantasy.
No idea that I was in the army, and my mother.
Right, somehow she's done selection and not given away the fact that she's in the regiment.
So at the time was trying to arrange my marriage to an eligible boy.
Managed to bang out jungle selection. Diffie for 5-6 weeks in Belize or Brunei, and this conservative family never fucking clocked that she wasn't there to serve tea.
So what I would do is I would go home during, in between the training, and I would put my shalwar kameez on, put a headscarf on, and serve tea. So I'd become this subservient girl.
People want this to be true so much that they will believe fucking anything.
And then I'd go back into London, put my army boots on, and off I was training again. So
that is a line that she uses all the fucking time. Put my army boots back on. I'm gonna post it later, but there's the picture that she got into kit for loose women, and she's tucked her trousers into her boot. She's wearing earrings. She's wearing rings. Her buttons ain't done up. Her top button. She's ironed her uniform with a fucking mess tin. She's forgot to switch her mess tin on as well. It's just fucking charade.
They had no idea that I was actually training, and I kept postponing this marriage that my parents wanted because I wanted to finish my training with the SAS.
Yeah. You come from quite a...
Also in her book, it says that her selection, women's selection, was 6 weeks, and she just said there that she needed to postpone her marriage. What, was she due to be married within the fucking fortnight?
Really strong stock, and your story is really, I think, a reflection of many of the immigrant stories that we've had down.
No, because an immigrant story has to be true.
The years, but although this is told so beautifully, because your father was in the army and then he came over here and he...
Someone said earlier he was jihadi John.
Worked really hard, from nothing literally to make sure that you guys could join him. Your mother was illiterate. I love the sound of you.
I bet she's glad of that, so she don't have to read your fucking book.
Your mother, she sounds like she was really hardcore, but I laughed out loud when she decided that, look, I'm going to learn how to speak and read English, and picked up those Ladybird books, but also managed to somehow vote for the BNP, for the National Front.
National Front, I know. It was
Obviously, fucking delusion runs in the fucking family.
bizarre because every now and then throughout my childhood, my father would remind us that your mother voted for the National Front. And the way it came apart was that my
The way it came apart, or the way it came about. This whole story's fucking falling apart.
mother wanted to vote for Margaret Thatcher because she loved Margaret Thatcher. She thought she was an amazing woman. And
I love it when people vote on fucking genitalia.
my father told her, okay, you take, I think it was either the first or the second box at the top. But when she came back and explained, she actually had the card upside down.
Oh.
And she ticked the wrong box and it was the National Front. And my father was outraged. He didn't speak to her for weeks. He says, I cannot believe.
What? Your father was raging with someone who cannot read that they couldn't read a vote? I don't know. And at the end of the day, you go into a voting booth and you tell them who they want to vote for and they can fucking point it out.
You voted the National Front. And my mother's like, well, I made a mistake.
Oh, well, I mean, it is a fascinating read.
I don't think it was that much of a mistake. I can't remember. Did Margaret Thatcher not win the election? Was that the year that the National Front came to power?
I have to say, but what is the message you want to give our new mayor?
Or
I think that having stood as a parliamentary candidate and having
in Rochdale?
been in the army,
Right. To be confirmed.
and having lived in London for 20 years and been brought up in Oldham, I have seen the
Bollocks.
dynamics of our society change over the last 20 years. And what I'd like to do is to see a way that the mayor can integrate and work with the youth, work with the young generation of London. I see that the dynamics of our society have changed, and I ideally would like to have something like a part-time national service for 14 to 17-year-olds, rebranded in some sort like a community program.
We used to. But I hate it when people say like generic stuff that no one can disagree with. It's like if I go, what would you say for the new mayor of London? Well, I think that he should look into curing cancer. No one can disagree with it. It's saying, oh yeah, youth should be sorted out. We should invest in youth. No one can say we shouldn't invest in youth.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because when I joined the reserves, I had problems in integrating, identity crisis. I wasn't that disciplined. But the army changed me.
Wait a minute, you come from a very strict conservative Muslim family, but you wasn't very disciplined.
And it changed me in such a way that I did become a more rounded person, and I've become the person that I am now. I was also very lucky that from the age of 14, my parents did give me a stable background. But there are a lot of children
From the age of 14, so where were they prior to that?
out there who don't have that. And I think that what the government's doing at the moment is great because they've got all these voluntary programs going on. But it's not the volunteers that we need to help. It's the ones that do not volunteer. It's the ones that don't step forward and come out of this social media isolation, this boredom, this unemployment, possible radicalisation, no integration. All those factors are coming into the mix. And I think that what we're looking at in the future is a change in the dynamics of society. I don't know whether it's going to be in a good way or a bad way, but I do feel that we as a government need to step forward and do something, and perhaps
We, as a government,
bring in something that's compulsory, that children can learn about life skills, they can learn about British values, and they can focus more on social integration.
Well, we'll have to leave it there, but I have
yeah,
to
we will. Now, I think she's onto something. I just think that we should bang everyone through selection at the age of 16. It would only be a day in Hyde Park, so we could get everyone through in a couple of months. What the fuck is this woman on? How is she being put on fucking TV and radio? How has no one pulled her up about this shit before? I apologise that this is nearly 15 minutes and I'm repeating myself, but this cunt is really, for want of a better phrase, licking me out. So yeah, we'll leave it there.
Good morning. My name is Azi Ahmed, and I stand here today as a former member of the British Army and the Conservative parliamentary candidate for Rochdale last year. My journey from a close-knit Muslim family in Manchester to this stage is an unusual one. I came from working in my family kebab shop to becoming one of the first women to go through the rigorous SAS selection training. As you can imagine, there were plenty of raised eyebrows when I walked into the army barracks. Though ultimately, the time for women to serve on the front line had not yet come when I was marching through the Brecon Beacons, the experience was grueling. But taking that opportunity made me who I am today. I am a Conservative because I want this to be a country where everyone has those opportunities to get on and succeed, regardless of their background. My journey shows how this can be a country that works for everyone, where people are not judged on what they look like or where they come from. And that is why I am so proud that under this government, women can now serve on the front line. Because if you are good enough to do the job, nothing else should matter. This is the party of opportunity and the party of defence. This government is increasing the defence budget so that our troops have the equipment that they need to keep this country safe. And I am delighted to introduce the man who is leading this vital work, helping us to stand tall as a proud, outward-looking nation that has the best armed forces in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our Defence Secretary, Michael Fallon. Thank you.